Hello Stock Fox family, I'm Stock Fox and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing Nndm. Nndm is a 3D printing company that currently trades below $5 a share. That's correct, $5 a share, which is putting it in the penny stock category. Now you probably ask, why is it that I'm looking at a penny stock company? Well, I actually previously owned this particular company in the past. I had a nice little run up on it and I sold it. Well, today it is trading. It's trading backside of where I initially purchased it at, and trading way off of its highs right now. So we're going to take a look at Nndm and see exactly why this particular company is trading trading like a penny stock at this time. Now, before we go any further, I'd just like to say anything I say or do is not a suggestion for you to buy, sell, hold, or trade any stock or asset. Now let's go ahead and dive right into Nndm and see exactly why I think this company has promise. So first of all, let's take a look at Nndm and let's find out exactly what exactly it is that they do. So I'm on Nndm's website here. I'm not going to read all of this to you here, but it says Nndm is a provider of intelligent machines. Now, what are some of those machines and what exactly do they do? It states right here that basically these are subassemblies which are integral enablers of autonomous intelligent drones, cars, and satellites, smartphones, and medical devices. So these are just a few things that Nndm kind of have their hands in as we basically move toward some of these more futuristic products like electric vehicles. That I've discussed earlier in some of my other videos like Nndm. That being said, why this particular company? Well, let's take a look here. In this particular article, it states Nndm looks cheap with cash on hand and growing, right? So it says Nndm has seen a large pullback this year in the stock despite nearly having $1.4 billion cash on hand. Well, I don't know about you, but $1.4 billion is an awful lot of money for a company to, one, have on hand, and two, to be trading at penny stock levels. It says the company looks to deliver high ROI return on investment products in a rapidly growing 3D manufacturing space. Now, it says a fair valuation looks to be closer to the $6 mark when looking at cash on hand along with the current sum of its parts, which would hint at potentially a 30% upside. Okay, so they're basically saying that this particular company has some growth potential and definitely has some room to run here. Let's take a look at another article. This particular article right here says that Nndm's cash raising could lead to some intriguing scenarios. So you're probably asking, how is it that a company can have $1.5 billion cash on hand? Well, because I was a previous investor here, I kind of wanted to just kind of go back to bring you forward with this particular video to give you a little bit of insight as to what happened to this company, why the sudden fall, how did it get to the cash evaluation that it currently has today. Now let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this article here. Again, I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to kind of jump around here. It says here, I'm marveling at Nndm and thinking to myself, maybe some companies learned something from the .com era. So just to kind of sum this up a little bit here, because I've already gone through this, what they're really talking about here is that it says while evaluations soared during the turn of the century, which was the .com era, I don't recall any companies tapping the market over and over for capital. Now, when he says tapping the market for capital, that means cash raises. Sometimes companies raise cash to take over other companies, to pay off debt, things of that nature. Well, this particular company did quite a few cash raises to get to that $1.5 billion that they have on hand in reserves. So let's take a look here at what I mean when I say how they got there. It says Nndm prices a $500 million registered direct offering. Now, before we go any further here, if you look here on the screen, it says RDO, which is a registered direct offering. That's what they mean by that. Now, it goes on to say that an RDO, they are generally marketed and sold to a limited number of institutional investors. However, given that an RDO is a public offering, securities can also be sold to retail investors. So when you see something like this right here, this was something that they decided that they wanted to do for whatever reason at that time, whether it was to pay off debt, whether it was to take over another company. Only they know exactly why they needed this particular money. But one thing I can tell you, at the time they had no debt, so it became, it became, unclear as to why a company needed to raise so much capital when they didn't have anything specific that they needed to do with the money. Well, if we go over here and we start to look here, you'll see that that it says here, it says today Nano Dimension announced that it has entered into a definitive agreement with investors for the sale of over 39 million shares of its company at a price of $12.80. Okay. Now it says the gross proceeds of the offering will be approximately $500 million. Well, not a whole lot, went on there other than you telling me that, okay, they're going to do a cash raise here. They're going to raise $500 million. Just except you forgot to tell me what they're going to do with the money. All right. Because you now are needing $500 million. Is the company in trouble? Remember, at this time, I'm actually an owner in the company because I own shares. So I'm on the sidelines thinking like a lot of other people who own the shares, which is what's really going on with this company. Well, let's dive a little bit deeper here. Remember, they were selling the shares at this time to an agreed upon price, which was $12.80, as you can see right here. Well, the problem with that is that at that time of the sale, back on February the 15th, as you can see here on the chart, the stock price was actually above the price at which they were selling the shares at that time to the investors. The stock was trading at $15.60 back prior to that. And now this company is selling off shares of its company less than the price of the share on the open market. Well, guess what that's going to do to the price of the share if indeed the company decides that it's going to now start selling it below market value. Well, the price of the shares are going down. And I'm left holding these shares and I'm thinking, why is it that you would do that? Surely there must be something more to this rather than a company deciding that they're just going to start selling shares, right? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this next article. It says the acquisition of the 500 million, which is here. It says that the acquisition basically lays the groundwork for a breakthrough. It says microchip placements as a part of the manufactured electronic solutions. It says here, Nano Dimensions is an industry leader in manufactured electronics, which is basically 3D printing. Okay, announced today that it has signed and closed a definitive agreement to acquire this particular company, Eastmatic. All right. Now, of course, I don't know a whole lot about Eastmatic, but here's their website here. Basically, they do things very similar to what 3D printing is in the areas at which is going to help Nano Dimensions in some of those areas. But I got the website here, so definitely if you get some extra time on your hand, go ahead and do your own due diligence in regards to this. I don't want to just deep dive into this one particular company. But that being said, let's go ahead and get back with Nano Dimensions here. So Nano Dimensions is a company that is basically owned by not just retail investors like me and you. It is also owned by institutional investors like the lady on the screen here, Kathy Woods, who is basically the CEO of the ARK Invest, if you haven't never heard of ARK Invest. Now, ARK Invest right now currently own somewhere close to around 20 million shares of Nano Dimensions at this time. So when I'm thinking about purchasing or getting back into Nano Dimensions, I certainly think about what are some catalysts around Nano Dimensions. What are some of the reasons why I would need to jump back in? What is it that I see? So some of those catalysts is going to be, or what I feel is a catalyst, is going to be, as you can see here, Nano Dimensions is getting ready to report its full fiscal year of 2021 results on March 31st of this year. So that's coming up here in the next week to 2 weeks here. They're going to host that on a conference call. So that's one of the catalysts. I feel that Nano Dimensions is going to have a spike after this right here, or at least leading up to it. Okay. Now, keep in mind, even though I'm saying that these are catalysts, that doesn't necessarily imply that this particular company will go up, stay the same, or go down at the time at the time that they present these earnings, because nobody knows exactly what they're going to be. But I'm more inclined, based on what I'm seeing from the stock and the movement of the stock right now, which we'll take a look again at the chart to see, how the stock's been moving over the past few days, which will give us some indicators as to the momentum that's behind this play. So another catalyst here, as I stated before, it says here institutional ownership. These are some of the things that I do look for prior to buying a company. Is the company owned primarily by retail investors, or is it being held up by not only retail investors but institutional buying as well? So I like to kind of see a mixture there. I would love to see probably 60-40 when it comes to buying a stock, which means that I want to see around 60% institutional, 40% retail investors. Again, that's just my preference when I'm looking, but I certainly want to see some institutional investing going on here. And as you can see here, it says that Nano Dimensions has 188 institutional owners and shareholders, once we compare that to their 13F form filing with the Security Exchange Commission. Now, I mentioned that ARK Invest, Kathy Woods is also an investor. If you look here, you'll see some of the biggest names out there when it comes to ETFs, index funds, and hedge funds. You got BlackRock is also an owner out there. You also have Morgan Stanley. You have the Citadel also is out there. So we've got some major institutional investors in this particular stock. Some of you may not know this, but when you start dealing with a lot of these funds, especially when you get into like companies like BlackRock, they also dabble so much into a lot of these companies like Neo, Nano Dimensions, Palantir, companies like that. You may actually own them, not even know that you own them. And when I say that, I mean like through things like your company 401k. Sometimes when you start going through the holdings of some of these funds, you'll be surprised to know exactly what you actually have in there. So these are a couple of things that I like to see before investing in a company. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart here. Now, getting back to what I stated earlier, when Nano Dimensions was basically trading. So Nano Dimension was trading here back on February the 12th at around $15.60 a share. This was basically before they did the $500 million registered direct offering, which sent the stock tumbling after that news all the way down. The thing is that actually wasn't the only offering that Nano Dimensions had did. They had done somewhere close to around 7 offerings. So it was a lot of offerings that they were doing, and they were doing them in a relatively short period of time as to how they end up getting to the $1.5 billion in cash on hand. To this day, I still am not real clear I do know that they went out there, and again, I showed you the company a while ago that they actually purchased. Here is one of the which is one of the things that they purchased. But again, no real clear indication here as to why you're sitting on so much cash with no debt. It seems to me that you would basically be out there uh, trying to purchase, more companies that can kind of lift the stock price up in the areas of which you basically operate. They don't seem to be doing that. They're doing a little bit of it, but not as much of it. Now, I may seem like, that I'm coming off stating that these are reasons why you shouldn't invest in the company. No, I'm just sort of laying it all out there as far as how Nano Dimensions got to where the stock was at the time of those offerings to where it is now. Now, what I would like to do here is take a look here at the chart. And this particular company, when it started out on October the 8th of 2015, it basically started out at $113.60 a share. So this particular company at some point convinced a lot of people that its market cap and its value and its evaluation was much higher than where it is right now. Okay, so it's not like this company can't basically go back to those highs. They know how to get there. They have just somehow lost their way. Okay, so $113 a share back on October 8, 2015, some 6.5, 7 years ago. And we bring it forward to where you can see here in 2019, the stock really began to fall off here in 2019. And then we begin to basically consolidate all the way as low as 98 cents a share back in 2020. Now the stock basically caught fire again. As you can see here, as we're moving along here, and the stock begins to catch fire right in here, which was basically around December of 2020, which is when I became an investor initially in this particular company. And I rode the company all the way up to this price here, which is 1560. And I was still an investor until they started doing all of the cash raises. I was confused. I didn't quite understand exactly what was going on, what the money was needed for. There wasn't clear direction from the company as to what they needed the money for, other than the fact that they were just capitalizing on what I know now to be a price that was overvalued, or an overvaluation of the company. So they began to basically take a lot of money through cash raises, plummeting the stock down, which at this point, I began to basically get stopped out at around $13 and something on its way down. I was then looking to try to get a position back in the company, but it kept falling like a falling knife, and there was no way to get back in. And as you can see today, the company right now, the price of this particular stock is trading at $3.87 a share right now. Do I think that that is overselling for this particular company? I do. And I'll give you one reason why I feel that way. This particular company has about $1.5 billion in reserves, just sitting on the sideline. And its market cap is basically less than $1 billion. So I don't know how we get to an evaluation like that. You have no debt on your books. So this is a debt-free company. They are basically investing in modern technology, all that is currently being used, that will be used, especially around the autonomous area and 3D printing area, which are strong right now. So I'm not for sure where the valuation comes from here, but $3.87 is where this company is trading at. It could be due to a number of different things. Obviously, we're in a down market right now, or a bear market right now. We still have the war going on overseas, and we also have the Feds right now still talking about raising interest rates. So all of those things just may be bogging this particular stock down. But I do think that at this particular price range, I've gotten back in the company at $3.43, and I'm also thinking about going back in and buying some more. I'm looking for a good point right here, and I may do it before they announce their earnings that's coming up at the end of this month. And the reason why I feel good about the purchase is that not only is it trading at these lows right now, I just feel that if you take a look at the last 30 days here, you'll take a look here and you'll see that it pretty much touched at the $3.06 mark, or just basically, let's just say it bounced off the $3 mark here, and it basically soared after that and never looked back. Okay, so I feel pretty comfortable thinking that if we're not at a bottom, we are at a near bottom. And even if it reports its earnings that are going to be coming up here at the end of the month, even if the earnings don't blow it out the water, or the stock starts to retrace, I don't think we retrace back down to $3, and I definitely don't think we retrace below that. So I feel pretty comfortable saying that I think I'm in a good position right now with this particular company, and I kind of like that the company basically is dabbling in a lot of those autonomous, making parts and things for the autonomous vehicles in cars. So I'm kind of excited about that piece of it as well. Let's take a look at what the analysts are saying here. Just to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of analysts following this particular company right now. There's one analyst that I found on Seeking Alpha here, and they have a strong buy on it with a recommendation of a strong buy stating that they believe that the stock can go back to $5 a share. Okay, now I'm hoping for something much greater than that. And we can take a look here at Barron's here as well. They have a buy over here with a price target on it of $10 a share. So you can see that that not a whole lot of analysts are following the stock right now, but I do believe that this particular company has a bright future ahead of it. I do think that it's been oversold and beaten down. So that's just my personal feeling on the matter. And I think that as the market starts to turn around, I do think that you start to see more investors pour back in. And it's a good sign when you see the institutional investors not selling. You notice that they didn't sell. They're still holding their positions. So they too must feel very confident that the price that this stock is basically at right now is beneath where it should be. So that being said, I'd like for you to kind of tell me exactly what your thoughts are, what your plans are. Is this a stock that you after listening to everything, me kind of laying it all out there, is this a stock that you have some intentions on purchasing in the near future? Or if you own it right now, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.